Update: my insane girlfriend drunkenly confessed to my friend that she is pregnant by her ex and plans to make me take care of the baby. He told me, and I broke up with her. So she went insane. Part 2: I constantly reminded her that we were not together and that she should only call me if she needed something for the baby. She said that the baby could feel her sadness and would use that as an excuse to hang out with me or have me buy her food. Those weeks were agonizing and took a toll on my mind. I tried to be there for Sophia, all while mourning the relationship we once had. Every time I'd speak to her, I was reminded of her voice, of the future that I was supposed to have with her. If you've tried to get over someone while having to see them every single day, you would understand. After the tormenting weeks passed, the results were in. The baby wasn't mine, and Sophia broke down again. She cried, saying that I'd been an amazing partner even though we weren't together, and begged that I take on the role of the father in the child's life. I said to talk to Brendan, since he was supposedly the dad. She admitted that he told her that he was too young to take care of the kid and wanted her to terminate the pregnancy. He said that if she carried this child for the full term, he would make her a single mother, but she didn't listen because she assumed I would take care of the baby. I said that that wasn't my responsibility anymore, and I had my answer, but it did hurt deep down that that child would grow up without a dad. It still felt bittersweet to know that I wouldn't be stuck with a manipulator and forced to co-parent with her. The following months, I was a mental wreck. My friends helped me heal and checked in regularly to make sure I was doing okay. Sophia, however, went crazy when she realized that I was actually done with her. She would stalk my social media accounts to make sure I wasn't with someone else. She was the first to view my stories and would often view my profile every day. When that wasn't enough, she started contacting my mom. My dad was the one who ended up calling me and asking if I was neglecting a child that was mine. He said Sophia showed up at their house saying that I knocked her up and dipped without wanting to take care of her son. Sophia was showing a lot by this point. She was a little bit over 6 months now, and they recently had a gender reveal for the boy she was carrying. I told him that she was lying and delusional. I didn't have the paternity test to prove it anymore, but I told him that I knew the values that he instilled in me, and I would have raised that baby if it was mine. I told him to let mom know that she was lying about my name, that she cheated on me with her ex-boyfriend, Brendan. My dad apologized for accusing me without talking to me first and said he should have known to trust me. I forgave him and got off the phone. I got home from work and shuffled through the drawer in my room to find the paternity test. When I got home, my mom still didn't believe me, and she wanted to see the paternity test herself. The second her eyes started racing across that piece of paper, I saw her rage instantly turn to sadness. She apologized for not believing me earlier and said that Sophia made it seem so believable. She said Sophia cried in her arms about wanting me to take care of the child we made together. With my mom on my side, Sophia lost her last ally. She became very depressed because Brendan wanted nothing to do with the baby either. She tried everything to win me back, from sending me gifts to showing up unannounced at my house and job, begging for another chance. But I never gave her the reaction she wanted. Then one night, my phone rang. It was Sophia. Her voice was hysterical. She was crying, and her voice began cracking. She started saying how she couldn't live without me and that she didn't want to live without me. I told her that she needed to go see a therapist. She begged me again to be with her, and I told her the same thing I've been telling her. She then said she'd take her life and the babies if I wouldn't be with her again. I was in a panic state. Despite everything, I didn't want her to hurt herself. I told her to stay on the phone with me and talk to her. I called the police from my home phone while my phone was muted. I stayed on the line until I heard the police come in. They arrived just in time to prevent her from harming herself. They took her to a mental hospital for treatment. That night was a turning point. The whole ordeal made me realize just how toxic and manipulative Sophia had been. With Sophia out of my life and receiving the help she needed, I focused on rebuilding my own life. I went through a range of emotions, from relief to anger to sadness. It wasn't easy, but with Lucas's support and my family, I found the strength to move on. Soon enough, it was time for me to go to college. Months passed, and gradually life started to regain a sense of normalcy. I made new friends, joined clubs, and even started dating again, though I was more cautious this time. Sophia remained in the back of my mind as a distant memory. One evening, as I was studying for midterms, my phone buzzed with a text from my friend who told me about the whole ordeal in the first place. He said that he wanted to grab something to eat together while I was home for the weekend. He said he had something to celebrate. I didn't know what he wanted to celebrate, but I agreed since I hadn't seen him since I left for college. At the restaurant, he grinned as he slid an envelope across the table and told me to open it. It was a letter from all of my friends back home, telling me how much they loved and missed me and how they were proud of me for getting into my dream college. This really touched my heart. It felt good to have this type of support system beside me throughout everything. As I sat there surrounded by friends and feeling hopeful about the future, I realized that I had come out stronger on the other side. Sophia's betrayal had nearly broken me, but it had also created a new beginning for me. I had learned to value the people who truly cared for me and to never let anyone else define my worth. If you are liking it, follow us for part 3. 3. After that dinner, I felt a sense of closure starting to form around everything that had happened. My friend's support was like a breath of fresh air, reminding me that life could still be good, even after going through something so painful. It wasn't long before the first semester at college started to fly by. I threw myself into my studies and activities, anything to keep my mind busy and focused on the future. Sophia had been quiet since that night, which was a relief. I heard from a mutual friend that she was still getting help and that she was finally coming to terms with the situation. As much as she hurt me, I genuinely hoped she was getting better, especially for the sake of her baby. It wasn't my responsibility anymore, but I couldn't help but feel some sadness for the child growing up in such a complicated situation. One day, while walking back to my dorm from class, I got a call from my mom. She sounded happier than usual and said she had some news. "Brendan," Sophia's ex and the father of her child, had apparently come back into the picture. According to her, he had a change of heart and decided he wanted to be involved in the baby's life after all. I was surprised but mostly relieved. Maybe now Sophia could finally move on, and so could I. Time kept moving forward, and eventually, winter break rolled around. I was excited to go back home and see my family and friends. The holidays were just what I needed: comfort, familiarity, and the chance to unwind after a stressful semester. During one of our family dinners, I found myself reflecting on the past year. What a roller coaster it had been, but I had made it through. The next day, I met up with the same friend who first told me about Sophia's drunken confession. We grabbed coffee and sat down to catch up. We talked about everything that had happened since I went off to college, but the conversation inevitably turned to Sophia. He told me something that caught me off guard. Sophia had reached out to him recently, not to cause trouble, but to apologize. She admitted to him that she realized how deeply she had hurt me and how much she regretted everything. She didn't expect me to forgive her or take her back, she just wanted to make amends in her own way. Hearing that, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Part of me was still angry, but another part of me was ready to let go. Holding on to that pain wasn't doing me any good, and in that moment, I decided it was time to truly move on. As the break came to an end and I prepared to return to college, I felt lighter, like a huge weight had finally been lifted off my shoulders. The new year brought with it a fresh start, and for the first time in a long time, I was genuinely excited about what was ahead. I dove back into my studies with a renewed sense of purpose. I focused on building my future and cherishing the relationships that really mattered. I kept Sophia's story in the back of my mind, not as a painful memory, but as a lesson in resilience and self-worth. Eventually, I graduated from college, and as I walked across the stage to receive my diploma, I felt an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. I had been through hell and back, but I came out stronger, wiser, and more determined to build the life I deserved. As I moved on to the next chapter of my life, I knew one thing for sure: I would never let anyone else dictate my path again. I was in control of my future, and I was ready to embrace it with open arms.